What up, guys? We are going to read the story, The Magical Garden of Claude Monet. And Claude Monet was a very famous artist, an Impressionist painter. He's the one who came up with Impressionism, one of the most famous art movements in the whole world. So we're going to read his story and be inspired by his wonderful work. "I wish we had a garden," said Julie. She looked down at the drab river which ran through the city. Even Louis the greyhound, her dog, was bored with being inside. "As soon as I have finished this painting," said Julie's mother, "I'll take you on a journey to the most wonderful garden in the whole world. It belongs to my old friend, the painter, Claude Monet." They took a big black train beside the twisting river far out of the city. Actually, this train image is very much like a painting Claude Monet did of a train. And into the countryside they went. Then Louis began to run down the hill and into the lane where a huge wall stood around a mysterious garden. "Stop, Louis," called Julie, but it was too late. Louis had gone. Julie didn't know what to do. She got down on her hands and knees and wriggled inside after him. He went through the little crack in the door. It was like crawling into a dreamy world where twisting plants grew tall as trees. Julie ran around a corner and almost knocked over a big man with a spade. The man wore a straw hat and had a huge white beard. "Oh," said Julie, "I'm looking for my dog. Are you the gardener?" "I suppose I am," said the man. "Come and look." So the spade's kind of like a shovel. "One day these tiny seedlings will grow into big flowers, but a gardener has to be very patient, just like a painter." Then Julie realized, "Hey, you're Claude Monet," she gasped. "Yes," laughed the old man, "I am Claude Monet." Together they searched for Louis the dog along the shady path, deeper and deeper into the magical garden, until it seemed as if they had left the real world behind. So notice all the little brush strokes. So that's what Impressionism is all about. Just little brush strokes. So up close, it looks kind of wacky and wild and just like, not like the real garden. But then when you look far away, all the pieces come together so it does look like a real garden or what the painter was trying to achieve. Under a willow, Julie saw Monet's umbrella like a huge white mushroom, and there was Louis. He had a blue nose, a purple ear, and one green paw. "Naughty dog," shouted Julie. "You've walked all over Mr. Monet's paintings." "I think your dog wants to be a painter too," laughed Monet. "Look, he's made a picture too." Then Julie saw Monet's paintings laid out in the sun to dry, clouds floating on a mirrored pond, a field of golden haystacks, a row of wispy poplar trees, and a little Japanese bridge over the pond. The brush marks glowed like flowers in a garden. So all those little brush strokes coming together to far away show a real image. They turned the handle on a rickety gate and stepped inside. It was like a garden inside a garden, a wild, wet, watery garden where willows bowed over a silent pool, and together they crossed the green bridge. So the actual bridge is there, over the water. Do you think Louis will fall in? I like this part of the book because you can open it up and you can see him in the boat. When they rowed across the pond, it felt like floating in one of Mr. Monet's paintings. So the water lilies and lily pads in the pond was his favorite thing to paint. I actually got to see him in a museum. Julie heard the splash of the oars and birds calling in the trees. All around them, lilies sparkled like a midnight sky, and when they reached the very middle of the pool, Monet stretched into the dark water and pulled out one flower, the biggest lily of all, as bright as a silver star. "A little present from my water garden," he said. They walked back toward the house, and Monet pushed open a huge studio door. "Here's my biggest idea of all," he said proudly. "I'm trying to paint the most enormous water garden in the world. When you stand in the middle, you'll feel as if you have dived into a pool. It will be amazing, said Julie. For a moment, Monet looked sad. But to tell the truth, I wonder if I'll ever finish it, he said. I'm old now and my eyesight's kind of bad. Julie thought for a moment. You'll need to be very patient, she said, like a gardener. Yes, he smiled, just like a gardener. Then Claude Monet pulled out a big watch. Wow, 6 o'clock precisely, he said. Time for dinner. So he curved his canvas to make a big circle, so the room it's going to be in is circular as well. And that's what I saw when I was in the museum. A room with his paintings all around in a circle to feel like you were really in the garden. It was pretty cool. Waiting in the yellow dining room, surrounded by pictures from Japan, sat Mrs. Monet and Julie's mother. Here are your little runaways, said Monet. And Louis got up and ate something too. Then it was time to leave. Monet walked with them as far as the river. Louis wanted to wave goodbye too, but as he jumped up, Julie's beautiful lily went flying into the river. Oh, Louis, shouted Julie, that was a special lily. They took the train back to the city, and even Louis was tired. The garden seemed like a distant dream. So this sunset here is a famous painting by Monet called Impression of a Sunrise, and that's how Impressionism got its start. But in the middle of the night, Julie heard Louis whining to go outside. She tiptoed through the apartment. Beneath the balcony, something was sparkling on the river. Julie ran outside, stretched into the dark water, and she pulled out a lily, bright as a silver star. Perhaps it's a little present from the water garden, she whispered, and as the city slept, she breathed in the sweet smell of the magical garden of Claude Monet. Do you think it's the exact same lily that floated down the river to her house? I wonder. And then here's a real picture of Claude Monet, so a photograph of him in his garden. So he was a real artist. And he did live along the river and have a big garden, just like in the story. So, famous artist, famous artworks, famous art style, and maybe we'll work like an impressionist like Claude Monet as well. Until next time, adios amigos.